It's the Open Championship. No, my friends, not the British Open. Here in America, that's the only place in the world that calls it the British Open. It is the Open Championship, and we have got a great episode for you here. We're going to learn a lesson from one of the great golfers of all time in the Open. Plus, there's going to be some surprises for you among my top 4 picks. But I think 100% they're going to be right on the mark. The lesson comes from one of the great ones. Right here. This is a picture of the Claret Jug on my vest. I picked up this vest when I was in Scotland trying to qualify for the Senior Open Championship. Spent a lot of time in St. Andrews. In fact, I was honored there in the community when I set the world record for the most golf holes played in a week. I love the Open Championship, but the big star of the Open Championship is going to be Royal Portrush in Ireland. Ireland for the Open? Isn't the Open always in Scotland or in England? Well, it's in Scotland almost all the time, occasional foray into England, but this time going to Ireland, where it's been held 3 times, all 3 at Royal Portrush. What a fabulous golf course. It's going to test the golfers' rugged terrain. It's not like a typical links course. It's just got tabletop greens and fall-offs. It's just absolutely amazing. And of course, the last champion there was Shane Lowry and of course Rory McIlroy. Who owns the course record there? Rory McIlroy. When he was 16 years old, he shot a 61 at Royal Portrush, this tremendous, exciting, attractive, beautiful, challenging golf course. Royal Portrush is a star. Who's going to win this 2025 Open Championship at Royal Portrush? First off, as I said at the opening of this segment, sorry, I don't think an American is going to win. Now we're talking about 3 guys that are playing great. Scotty Scheffler is still the #1 player in the world. But Scotty hasn't played a course like Royal Portrush, I don't think, ever in his life. Now he's going to go over there and practice, but I don't think you can practice for Royal Portrush with all the crazy bounces in the fairways, with the tabletop greens. You can sometimes run the ball on the green. Sometimes you have to fly it on the green. You got to be careful of the runoffs. I don't think he'll win. I don't think Justin Thomas, who's been playing great, is going to win. I don't think one of our most consistent American players, Xander Schauffele, also, and a major winner. But let's talk about who has a possibility. I'm going to give you one American. Old guard. Talk about the old guard. Well, you know what I'm talking about, Keegan Bradley. A great, great Ryder Cup captain. Old guard. Hey, Phil Mickelson's there. Phil, you never know what he's going to do. He can play terrible or he can be brilliant. But I don't put a lot of stock in Phil. Keegan Bradley, yes. Phil, no. But they're not my top picks. Those are the old guard, the young guard. You've got Thomas Dietrich, who won at Phoenix, who's got an all-around game. And of course, Ludwig Aubert. His name just keeps being right at the top of the leaderboard week after week. He's due to win big. That's the young guard. I don't think they're going to win either. So who do I think is going to win? Well, let's go to the live golfers. They're going to show up, and wow, you got some great players. You've got Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson. You've got players like Sergio. Possibility. The live golfers, can't dismiss them. I don't think they're going to win either. You know, I've got my picks, and I've settled down to 4, and they're all European. They've all played the European Tour. They are very experienced in links golf, even though Royal Portrush is kind of a combination of an American golf course, a links course and a penal golf course. So maybe even a Donald Ross type where you have false fronts and the ball runs off the green. Who's going to win? Well, let's go with 4. Rory. Now, I'm not picking Rory to win. I'm picking him to be in my top 4 picks. Rory, as you know, holds the record there. He shot 61 when he's 16 years old, knows the course. He will be the hometown favorite. They're going to be cheering every shot. Has he recovered from the Masters? Doesn't appear he really has, does it? And I don't think yet. He doesn't have that deep hunger, desire, passion to win. He has the hunger and passion to show up and do well, and I truly think he will. Don't think he'll win. Shane Lowry, the other Irishman, the 2 Irishmen, hometown boys, Rory McIlroy, Shane Lowry. I don't think Shane is actually the defending champion at Royal Portrush because the last time the Open Championship was there, who won it? Shane Lowry. What a celebration that was on the 18th green and into the night and into the morning. All the pubs nearby, they were filled and great celebration. They'd love to do it again if Rory or Shane Lowry won, but don't think that's going to happen. So, down to my final 2 picks. They're not glamorous. They're not dramatic. But man, can they just play good golf. Justin Rose. I mean, remember how great he played in the Masters? Remember how he came from behind, went into the playoff? He's always there. I think it could be his time. Justin Rose, watch him. He's in the top 2. Who do I think is going to win? I'm picking ta-da! Tommy Fleetwood. Yes, he just lost, actually blew it at the Travelers when he should have won, could have won. I think that was good for him. He's coming in determined. He has the game. We all know he has the game. He has the experience. He's from the UK. He's played all over Scotland, Ireland, England, and boy, is he due. He should win this version of the Open Championship. Those are my picks. I think they're very wise. So let's go and have a lesson. Nowhere is good bunker play going to be more important than in the Open Championship at Royal Portrush. Why? Because they don't just have bunkers, they have deep bunkers, deep-faced bunkers with tabletop greens. So you may be standing there in the bunker and actually looking up to get it out. What in the world do you do? How do you play that? There are 2 bunker shots. If you have to hit a long bunker shot, you want to catch the ball and the sand just about at the same time, just a wisp of sand so you can get some length to hit it up in the air. For the longer bunker shot, you don't have the club face wide open like this. You have it square and hit it as thin as you can with just taking a tiny bit of sand, and the ball comes out and goes a goodly distance. Let's hit a couple of those shots right now. Now, if we want a long shot, what did we say we wanted to do? We're going to a pin now about 20, 25 yards. So we're going to take a lot less sand and hit it there. Yes. Boom. Normally you have the club face slightly open and hit it like this, but for the real short bunker shots, you got to hit straight up in the air. You open it like this, take a big swing, take a lot of sand, and just almost use your muscle to throw that sand straight up in the air and let the ball float out and drop by the pins. This is an American deep bunker. In other words, it's about chest high. So that's pretty deep for most of us. So we're going to hit a high flop shot to this pin. In other words, we're going to take plenty of sand. Open the face up. So if you want to hit it high, open it up, a lot of sand, and throw it up in the air. If you want to hit it long, less sand, and the club face a lot more square. I should charge them. All those guys playing in the Open Championship, give them this lesson because they are going to need it. What's the deepest bunker in which you've ever played? For me, right after the first round of the Travelers in Hartford, Ben Crenshaw and I went to Yale University, the Yale University golf course, which is Charles Blair McDonald design. Crenshaw wanted to play hole number 2, which has a deep face bunker that you've got to go almost straight up in the air to get it on the green. We didn't have any clubs with us. He borrowed sand wedge from the pro, and we sat in that bunker, and it took us a lot of shots before we got it up in the air and onto that green. That's the deepest bunker I've ever seen, and there's nothing quite like that at Royal Portrush, but trust me, there are some deep, deep bunkers. So the guys better bring their sand wedge and their sand play game. If you enjoy all these episodes, please subscribe. That's what keeps us going and enables us to go on in the future. Also, if you have comments about who's going to win the Open Championship, let us know. Gosh, you cannot think of the Open Championship without the name Tom Morris. Oh, you go, I knew that. I knew Tom Morris, old Tom Morris. We're not talking old Tom Morris. Yes, he did win the Open Championship, and yes, he did design Prestwick, and he changed St. Andrews, and he designed Carnoustie. Old Tom Morris, you go to St. Andrews, and I've been there multiple times. In fact, I was honored at Younger Hall, which is rare for an American. Younger Hall, where Bobby Jones and Jack Nicklaus were lifted up and honored there. I was invited to St. Andrews for the St. Andrews Golf Festival because I'd set the world record, the Guinness World Record for the most golf holes played in a week, 1,850. So I played all the city courses there at St. Andrews played for a week, played 3 or 4 courses a day as part of the St. Andrews Festival. They played golf in the streets, disc golf, and it was just a wonderful time. And at the end of it, they had a presentation there at Younger Hall, and they have a wonderful actor who plays old Tom Morris. Great memories of St. Andrews. And right there to the right of 18 is his shop, the shop of old Tom Morris. But we're going to talk about his son, his boy, the first name on the Claret Jug, the only player ever to win it 4 times in a row, the youngest major champion of all time. No one, not Tiger Woods, not Bobby Jones, no one, not Rory, when he was 21 winning the US Open. No, the youngest champion ever, young Tom Morris. He won the Open Championship when he was 17, and when he was 18, when he was 19. All told, he won it 4 times in a row. And when they finally came up with the Claret Jug, who was the first name on there? Young Tom Morris. What a story. He and his dad are polar opposites. Old Tom Morris was raised in a generation where you deferred to the lords and the ladies, to the gentlemen, the honorable company of Edinburgh golfers. He realized he was low on the totem pole, and he would have his head down, almost wouldn't look the gentleman in the eye. He would caddy for them. Here he was a great Open champion, but he would caddy for the guys at St. Andrews. Young Tom Morris, none of that. None of that. He looked them right in the eye. He actually was the first one to really play for money. He set up the professional tour. He went everywhere, exhibition matches, playing. He had a strut and a swagger. He is depicted so well in a movie which is directed by Sean Connery's son. It's called Tommy's Honor. You need to watch that movie, Tommy's Honor, which shows this story of wonderful champion, young Tom Morris, who tragically died on Christmas Day when he was only 24 years old. Imagine what he would have accomplished in his lifetime, but he gave us a lot of lessons, and we're going to have it in just a moment. But his demise touches your heart. He married Margaret, Meg, whom he dearly loved. She was older than he was. She was a darling, and she was snappy and spicy and just a modern girl. And he was dearly in love with her. He was playing at North Berwick with his dad, old Tom Morris, in one of these big money exhibition matches. They had a couple holes to go. The match was very close. He got a telegram that his wife, Meg, was having trouble with delivering their first child, a boy. And would he please come home? And old Tom said, let's finish the match. They did. They took a boat across the Firth of Forth, got back to St. Andrews. The baby and Meg already passed away. That was in September. Christmas Day, young Tom Morris died of a broken heart. But he left us a powerful legacy, and we can learn from him. So let's go and have a lesson that's from 1875 from young Tom Morris, one of the great ones. Young Tom Morris was brilliant. He was a savant. He knew more about the golf swing, what to do with a ball, than anyone before him, and he taught all of us a lot. For instance, did you know that young Tom Morris invented backspin? In other words, to hit a ball that hops twice and spins back. Never been done before. They couldn't believe he did it. He used a rut iron, which was used just what you might think. It had a big base right here so he could just knock the ball out of the ruts, because you played the ball where it lies. Well, he used that rut iron, taking it straight up and straight down on the back of the ball, hitting down sharply, spinning it, and it would hit and spin back, and people thought it was magic or luck. It wasn't. What he did was he loosened his right and left hand grip like this, just a little bit, and then went straight up and straight down. Oh, what a pretty shot, young Tom Morris. Thank you for teaching us that shot. He did something else. You want to know what it was? Change clubs. Young Tom Morris, brilliant. He taught us how to curve the ball. In other words, he was the first one to play a draw and a fade. That's right. Imagine what an advantage that is. Not only to be able to control your trajectory in the air, high, low, medium, but to curve it a little bit left to right or a little bit right to left. How did he do that? Well, he did it, one, because he was enormously talented and practiced, but he did it with his hands. You play ping pong? If someone tells you to hit the ball over there, you go spin it like that, and the ball spins with top spin. You want to go over there, you go like that. So let's do the same thing. If we're going to hook it like this, let's do like we do in ping pong, which is what young Tom Morris did. Oh, that's a nice little right to left. And then if you want it to go left to right, same club, lower trajectory, and now we're going to just do it like this, just like we do in ping pong. Look at that. Looks so simple, doesn't it? It is simple, but if you can do that, thank young Tom Morris, the first great, I repeat one more time, great player. And as we said, the first name that's on that Claret Jug, which of course signifies the Open champion. Young Tom Morris was a great putter. They said about him, he never missed a putt he had to make. Never. Well, they said the same thing about Tiger and Jack, haven't they? But they didn't play on greens that were like this. This is about like the greens were. This is the hole right here. Look at this. How did young Tom putt? Played the ball back, had an open stance, looked at the hole, and just went, well, he never missed. I just did. Let's try it one more time. Wow, he was a great putter. Yes, yes, young Tom, we did it. Thank you for joining us for this episode of picking the top players for this Open Championship, and also learning that beautiful but heartbreaking story of young Tom Morris, the first really great Open champion, and whose name is the first one on the Claret Jug. Thank you for joining us on Absolutely Amazing Golf, and as we always say, may your golf and your life be absolutely amazing.